Welcome back to another episode of After the Horn. I'm Mark Shannon, and once again, I'm joined by my co host, Marco Corona. What's going on?
Not much, just freezing my ass off, but we're good to go. We're
Yeah,
ready
I
to go.
know, right? We had that big dumping of snow on the weekend. Well, I know, like, Toronto got, like, literally almost, like, put underneath. Like, according to Mayor Olivia Chow, it was 56 meters, right? 56 meters of snow, but I mean, yeah,
He's special.
I'm tired of
Yeah,
winter. I'm tired of winter. Like, just tired of it. Like, let's end Mother Nature. Like, I want Wyerton Willie or Puxatawny Phil or whatever fucking beaver or whatever,
rat,
whatever,
dog, whatever the frick
whatever
it
it is
is.
that sees their shadow to be like, all right, we got 2 more weeks of winter. That's it, done. Like, no more. Not gonna get it anymore. Like, it's just, yeah, I've had enough of it. Like, the snow is just ridiculous.
I hate shoveling. I hate looking at the
Yeah,
snow. I hate the salt in my
uh,
shoes and all the crap and the
the
jackets and the
salt,
tooth.
the
I
salt.
hate it.
I hate
I,
cleaning salt at work. Like,
oh,
I
I
hate cleaning
bet
all the salt at
it's
work.
the
It's brutal.
worst.
So I can't wait for it to be over.
My God, it's too much. It's too much. Let's get into this. Like, give me some.
Truthfully, and you know what people can't wait to be like. We'll jump right into it. Leaf fans can't wait for this season to be over.
You mean
It
is
has
it not over yet?
no, it's not over yet,
Are you sure?
unfortunately. And then, like, there's going to be this 2 week break coming up in next starting next what,
Oh my
Friday, I
God.
believe, or next
Yeah.
Thursday. That you're going to get a 2 week break for the Olympics and stuff, and I'm excited to watch the Olympics and everything. But yeah, like, it's just been such an up and down season for the Leafs this year. Uh, and I mean, obviously, I put out my rant on our socials and stuff like that.
Go check it out, folks. It's a good one.
Yeah, go check our TikTok and our Instagram and and YouTube and stuff like that. But I mean, this team is just like so hard to watch. They're one of the worst
Kind of
teams
funny.
that it's just crazy. They're one of the worst teams that I've watched in a long time. And obviously, whether they've made it far or not, like, we've been blessed in the sense of, as Leaf fans, of this team being a good regular season team, making the playoffs every year. And yeah, they don't make it very far, but at least they give you playoffs and they're in the playoffs. This team this year has just been like, I don't know, they've just been abysmal to watch. They can't defend, they can't keep the puck out of their net. Their underlying numbers are horrible. They're the last place team in allowing the most. I believe it's last in shots against. They allow the most slot shots per game. It's just ridiculous to watch this team play. They've gone from being a skilled team to being a very heavy team, but they're not heavy and fast. They're heavy and slow. Like, I just don't
That's a
know
bad
what.
combo.
Yeah, I just don't
Yeah,
know what this team is.
I don't think they do either. And I mean, I think the writing was on the wall. So I guess first and foremost, I don't know who's going to draft the letter of apology to Mitchell Marner because clearly it was not his fault. I think he was, and we talked about this before, he was part of the problem. He wasn't the problem. So I'm just going to get that out there for you Mitch Marner haters. I'm not a Mitch Marner lover, but what I'm saying to you is sometimes just not the guy, it's the parts, it's everything that's around it. So you talked about it. This team is not balanced, right? They don't do everything. They don't, there's no identity, right? Like you look at the good teams, some teams skate, some teams are, can score and defend well and forecheck, etc. I don't know what the Leafs do well. I don't think they do either. They went to go
Nothing.
ahead and
Nothing.
fire their coach for the power play. Brought in Sullivan. Okay, they had a nice little 2-3 game run, but now it's regression to the means. So
Yeah.
really, that hasn't worked. Again, it's not that we talked about. You know, even before we started the recording, I think that the window was open and clearly closed last year in that Florida series. And I think that there was an assumption made that if you remove one part and sort of piece together other little parts that are not necessarily overwhelmingly great, this team was just going to keep going from last year going forward, and it hasn't. So it's a lot roster construction. The guys that are on the team management, coaching, perhaps. I mean, it's just a buffet of bullshit with this franchise, with this team, and being mediocre and going on these little streaks. I mean, great, but it doesn't show you anything. And I think in the beginning of the month, or like around Christmas, and after that, they went on that, what was it, 8-0-2 run.
Yeah, they were. Yeah,
There's zero chance that everybody thought that that was an 8-0-2 team, right? And now after that, they've gone in this last homestand 0-4-1,
yeah.
right? Come on, dude. Like, you couldn't even split the points.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing. Like they went, like it's you're playing at home on a homestand, and they don't got very many home games coming down the stretch in the 29 games they have left, right? They're now going on a 4-game Western road swing to Seattle and to Calgary and to Vancouver and to Edmonton, and obviously Calgary and Vancouver are not great teams. But
But
I
they'll
mean
bring
that's
it.
a
They'll bring
but
it
it
when
but it,
Toronto's
but it's
in town,
also
right?
but exactly, but it's also you're talking about 4 games before the Olympic break where Matthews and Nylander and Oliver Ekman Larson are thinking about playing in
They're
the
thinking about
Olympics,
pizza
right?
and pasta and in Italy.
Exactly.
I would.
They're thinking about that at the end of the day, but also it's just like I don't know. I just don't know what this team does well. And like I said earlier, and it's like I shouldn't say that because obviously I know that they don't nothing. They don't do nothing well. They're just a really
Correct.
bad team. They have a lot of dead weight, a lot of players making money that shouldn't be making the money they're making because they don't contribute the way they contribute, right? Like I don't know. It's just like obviously during that stretch they got really good goaltending from Joseph Wall and from Dennis Hildeby. So there's obviously that stretch. Matthews was on a tear a bit. Matthew Nyes was playing well, so that stuff started to roll around. But they made up those. They won those games, but they didn't really make up a ton of points.
No.
They got closer to the wild card spot, but now you're 8 points back. And I mean, to me, the way I look at it is this season is over. It's time to punt on the season, just kick it to the curb and say, like, we're not making the playoffs. You got to jump Buffalo. You can't beat them. You got to jump Detroit. You can't beat them. You got
Nope.
to jump Boston. You
Nope.
haven't really been able to beat them. Montreal, like they're all
Nope.
these teams ahead of you in your division. You're going to have to play down the stretch. You have to jump them. There's other teams that are ahead of you. Pittsburgh's playing well. The Islanders have made some trades, right, to bolster their roster. So it's like you got to jump over a lot of these teams to get to the playoffs. So the writing's on the wall, like you said. Like they're going to have to make a decision here after the Olympic break, to basically say, all right, we're going to start tearing it down to the studs, so to speak. Obviously, I mean,
Okay,
I
so
don't know.
let's address it. Let's address it because tearing it down to the studs is easier said than done. Okay, so
Yeah,
now they have pieces that they could move, but they don't have anything of significant value other than the obvious, which is Matthews, which is nice. They're not going to move him; they just extended him, and Mister Flipper Willie. So, and again, uh, Riley, it's going to be, listen, good luck with that, right? Like, who's going to take that on unless you sweeten the pot and retain contract, retain salary? So they're really stuck in a situation where you have to move, maybe look at your restricted agents or UFAs or whatever the case may be, and try to get something for those guys, right? Because your main core guys, you're going to be really hard pressed to move those guys. So what do you do? Where do you
yeah,
start?
yeah, and that's the thing. And I mean, when you're tearing it to the studs, obviously, I mean, you're not going full scorched earth. You're not trading Matthews. You're not trading Nyes. You're not trading Nylander. You're not trading those guys. John Tavares, nobody's taken on a 35-year-old guy who's not fleet of foot.
And he's
And
regressed,
right, and
respectfully. He's
he's
regressed.
regressed, but I mean he's also
And
playing second line minutes for a third line guy. Like he's a third line center now. He's not a second line
and
center. They
no
need to
beef towards JT,
no,
by
and
the way.
that's what
I
I mean.
think
I think
he's a good guy and all that shit.
yeah,
But
and he's given a lot to Toronto. Obviously, they haven't won, they haven't gone to Stanley Cup, all that stuff. But he's given a lot to Toronto in the sense of like he's been here, he plays every game, he competes, he plays hard every game. But I mean, he's a third line center now. Plain and simple, he's a third line center, right? You got Matthews, you've got him, you've got Nylander, you got Nice. Those 4 players are definitely, in my opinion, you have to keep those guys. You have to think maybe Nylander might be the only guy that might be be able to be moved because you've just signed him to a long-term extension. Somebody might be willing to take on that contract, and you'd be able to get a lot of assets for him. You're
a
not
hundred
trading
percent.
Matthews. He's got 2 years left on his deal. All reports indicate that he still really loves Toronto, still wants to stay here, but you want him to be in your future. Matthew Nyes, like you said, just extended him. He's a key piece. He's a physical body, can skate, can score, can play make, can get into the dirty areas for Matthews. Right, he complements Matthews very well. But everybody else, in my opinion, is not untouchable. Like nobody should be off limits. Wall shouldn't be off limits. Yeah, probably you're not trading Easton Cowan. You're not trading any of the minor guys like Ben Danford and those kind of guys. You're not moving those guys. But you need to move Bobby McMahon. Like he's got 17 goals, but is he actually going to be a 30 goal scorer?
Probably
I've heard
not.
people say, well, I've heard people say, oh, here they go again, getting rid of a guy that's going to score a lot of goals like Zach Hyman. It's like, yeah, Zach Hyman. They didn't want to pay him the money, and he went to Edmonton. Zach Hyman's playing on a line with Connor McDavid. He's going to fucking put up points. Plain and simple. He's going to put
Yeah,
up
but
points.
don't you have to give Hyman credit?
No,
He's no slouch, right? But I see
I'm
your
giving him
point. I
credit in
see
the
your
sense
point.
like he didn't go from playing with from going from Matthews to playing with a scrub. He went from playing with Matthews to an even greater player in Connor McDavid, playing on one of the best power plays in the entire NHL for the last few years. Right, Bobby McMahon's a great player, but he was a college signing, and he's having a great year this year. Absolutely, it's a contract year. A lot of
Okay,
players have great years on contract years. So now it's a great year. His value is as high as it's going to be. Move him, trade him. Somebody's looking for a player like that. Like Edmonton is looking for definitely a player like that, a guy that fits in their top
that's what
nine,
I hear.
has
Yeah.
has got a lot of speed and can also score. Right, so Edmonton could be looking at a guy like that, and you could maybe you might have to take back a Andrew Mangiapane contract and
So be it.
maybe get a first or a second round pick for him and start adding to that. Scott Lawton's another name. Obviously, he's having a great year, but I think the way I look at it is obviously you go to Scott Lawton because he likes it here. Suppose like thing they like him in the dressing room. You need a third line, fourth line center, right? Or you put him on the wing beside John Tavares on that third line if you could start building this roster. But I'd go to him and say, okay, this is the contract that we're looking at offering at you. If he wants way more than that, then it's like, all right, see you. We're shipping you
Or
out.
you can just move him regardless, because you can't just keep these guys because you like him, and that's the problem here.
No,
This
I
is what I'm going to
agree.
get at here, right?
Yeah,
Like,
and
whose fault is this? At the end of the day, somebody has to take the hammer for this. Who
Brad
is it?
Treliving has to take the hammer for this.
If it's BT, okay. So are you going to trust BT to make the trades and then gas him?
I mean, if at the end of the day, yes, at this point in time, you're going to have to. If you're Keith Pelly and Rogers and Maple Leafs, like the ownership, you're going to have to. You're going to have to rely on Brad Treliving to kind of do something, kind of make some moves at the deadline to sort of thing. And then at the end of the season, you're going to say, sorry, but we're going to bring in our own guy. And obviously, I'm not saying that, and I don't, Berube as well. I don't see him making it past the end of this year, no matter about his cut head and all or whatever.
What the
But
fuck was that, by the way? Like,
yeah, I know. It's
what kind of gym
absolutely
do you go to?
wild.
Like, what
That's
was he lifting?
absolutely wild. I don't know what he was
Holy
lifting. He must,
shit!
yeah, like I don't know what he was lifting, but it's like,
Listen, I am no musclehead, and I know that you're probably mistaken by because you look at me like, wow, that guy works out. But like, I've never seen a dude come back with like how many stitches he get, like 20, 30, whatever it was.
yeah. I mean,
Like
it
it's like
looked,
somebody split his head open to see if there was an actual brain there that's
yeah,
actually
it was
coach
like
of the
he went for
fucking
a
Leafs,
lobotomy. It
and
was
they're
like
like,
he went for a
whoops, no,
lobotomy.
you have no brain because you are the coach of the Leafs. Let's put this shit back together. And then he
Yeah,
comes back, or he got into a fight with Willie. I don't know what the fuck happened,
yeah.
but my God. Anyways,
Yeah,
wow.
honestly, it's well. So I don't know if Berube's back. Like, obviously, you're gonna have to make decisions and see where that is. There's obviously things, but it's. I don't know if it's a quick fix. I don't know if it's just something that you're gonna be like, okay,
Uh,
we're gonna bring in this guy and this guy and this guy, and this is what it's gonna be, right? You need to find something that works because it hasn't worked for so long.
eight
It
years.
just it just hasn't. Yes, they've made the playoffs. Yes, they've finished high in the standings in the regular season. Yes, they had all that. They scored a lot of goals, put up a lot of points. Absolutely.
But the ending
The end
of
result has
story is the
always been
same.
yeah,
It's
the end
exactly the same.
result has always been the same. There is no Stanley Cup at the end of it. And yes, only one team wins a Stanley Cup at the end of the
No
day.
Stanley Cup, no Eastern Conference Finals
But yeah,
appearance.
but if that's
Get
but
to
that but
that first.
yeah, but even that, like, where that's the thing where it's like that should not be even in the discussion. Who cares if you get to look at? Do you think Edmonton fans are like, we made it to the Western, we made it to the Stanley Cup Finals 2 years in a row? We feel so
Right.
great about our
But
team.
they can't say that because they've made it and it seemed the
Yeah,
promised land.
but
The
that's
Leafs
just
haven't
a
even sniffed it.
but
You
that's
guys
just
don't
such
even
a
have.
loser
No,
attitude to me.
it is in this city because getting
Yeah, but
you
that's what I
just made the
mean.
case. That's my point. For so long, it was acceptable to just get past the first round, right? And then they finally broke that against Tampa. Was it a couple of years ago?
Yeah, but I don't know. I just don't know where this team goes from here. Like, I just don't know where this team goes from here. And who they allowed to make these decisions? Like you said, do you allow Treliving? Do you fire him? Do you let Berube go? But the way I look at it is they're going to let Treliving make decisions at this point in time, and sell off pieces if that's the direction that they're going to go, which I hope that's the direction they're going to go. I hope they don't go and say we're going to go get Dougie Hamilton and go
No,
get
and
this
there's
guy
no
and that
point.
guy to try,
Not at this
because
point. It's late.
it's not like, again, you can't put band-aids on a cut all the time and hope for the best results. Like, you just can't do it all the time, right? So
What's that? What's
my
that old saying? You can't move chairs in the Titanic, right? Like you can't reshuffle those, and that's what it is, right? At the end of the
yeah,
day, make a decision.
exactly.
It's the writings on the wall. The morale is down in that locker room. The city is on your ass. Everybody's just saying basically
Look,
you're dead. So
yeah.
if you're not going to do anything of significance, at least move some pieces that are going to get you some value back that you can sort of work with in the off season. And like you said, you move your lower guys. If you can get something for JT, great. If not, then you start looking at your Lautens and other pieces. And in the summertime, you reevaluate on your
Yeah,
core and I
yeah, and
think
you're
that's what it's going to come down to, right?
yeah.
And because I don't think this franchise, and I'm going to be very honest with you, I don't think this franchise has the balls to go completely
No,
studs. I don't think Pelly and them boys have the patience to do so. And if you
no.
do, then you go all in, which means that there's no Matthews, no Willie, no you basically move at least minimum two out of the three goalies. You start with
Yeah,
Stillard and maybe Hilderby.
but the problem is that they don't have their own pick to even say,
You
okay,
got it.
we're gonna sell off all these guys, to be like, okay, well, we're gonna sell off all these guys and get our and get McKenna or whatever the case is, or Verhoff or whoever they're
That's
gonna
right.
go
So you
for.
can't tank,
Right, you
right?
can't really tank unless you're really gonna shut down Matthew Nyes, and Nylander's gonna shut down for the rest of the year, and you're shutting Tanev and you're shutting all these guys down, and you're
Yeah.
just bringing
You
up rookies,
basically
and then
can't you can't do what the Canucks basically are starting to do right now,
yeah,
right? Like they've
exactly, right.
basically chosen to just okay, clear the deck. Let's go. Start load managing guys and sitting guys down and Temco go to IR and go have your hip surgery because your extension kicks in next year.
Yeah,
This is what we're gonna
exactly.
do, blah blah blah, right? Like so
Exactly.
they're stuck in this very weird.
They're stuck in the middle. They're in this muddy
I
middle
wouldn't
part
even
where it's like
say
this.
it's the middle. I think it's sort of
No,
like
I think they're in the middle of they're in the shitty middle in terms of, like, they there's not really much they could do. They either
is
go
there a
one
good
way or they
shit?
go they either not really. They go they either go one way. It's like they're like one way, or they go the other. It's but I mean, truthfully, you have to go that way. You have to go with the somewhat nuclear route and say, all right, we're cutting bait, we're moving on, and sorry, Morgan Riley, we're going to have a tough conversation with you, and you're going to have to waive your no trade clause, or you're
Your
just not.
1,600 team no trade clause, right? Like
Yeah, or you're going to
that's
have, like,
ridiculous.
or you're going to have to sit on the, you're going to have to sit. We're going to put you in the minors. Like, we're just going to bench you, put you in the minors, and we're going to eat the cap. Like, that's what we're going to have to do.
You
You
bench
got,
him or you do something to piss him off so much that he's like,
yeah, that he
get me
wants
out
to
of here.
go. Exactly.
And
Like, you're gonna
that's
have to do something.
sadly that's the way. Yeah, that's
Unfortunately, it's a tough thing because he's been here for what, 13 years now. Like, he's been one of the longest tenured thing. He's been a consummate professional being here, but he's not a great defender. He's not really producing offensively. He's playing as a 1-2, and he's more of a 3-4 right now, right? So I just like I said, I just don't know where this team goes, and it's just after the run the Blue Jays went on, it's just deflated. all that great goodwill and energy that was left behind, even though the Blue Jays lost, all that great energy and goodwill that the Blue Jays had built up for this city has quickly just like deflated. It's like a balloon that was like blown up, and now the your birthday's over, and then you just popped it, and now it's just
I can just
right.
feel your heart shatter right now. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's just like. But I mean, at the end of the day, I don't really care.
You
Truthfully, I
do
don't.
care. You're
I
full
do
of shit.
care, but
You
I
do
don't care at
care.
the same time. Like, I'm not going to sit here and be like, "Oh my god, this team is so horrible." Like,
You just did.
I know that, but this is for the podcast. I gotta express. I gotta,
Don't
I
add
gotta
no
say.
tax.
Yeah, exactly. I can't just
Show
not say
your
anything, right?
emotions. It's okay.
Exactly,
We love you anyway, brother.
exactly. But shifting gears from a bad team to a team that's doing pretty well, right? We
A team
talked
that
about
gives
that.
you hope.
That gives you some hope, obviously, right? They're sitting tied for fourth in the Eastern Conference with 29-20 record. Obviously they just lost last night. Lost tonight to the New York Knicks, the team that they're battling for third place with there. But the Toronto Raptors, like, have given a little bit of hope to a city that needs a little extra hope after, like I said, what happened with the Blue Jays and now with the Leafs and how bad they are. You can at least watch the Raptors, see how exciting they are with Brandon Ingram and RJ Barrett and Scotty Barnes, Emmanuel Quickly and Colin Murray Boyles and Jamal Shed. There's a lot of talent on that roster, and they've been able to put together a solid start to the season with Darko
Yes.
Rajakovic as the coach, right? And obviously, we're coming to the major stumbling or the major roadblock in the season, where it's the NBA trade deadline. And obviously, we talked about it a bit last week. There's been rumors that the Raptors are going to make a deal, right? And obviously, names that have been bandied about are Anthony Davis and John Morant and
Nope.
Domantas Sabonis. But
Maybe.
obviously, a huge name was added to that list today when Shams Charania came out and said that Giannis Antetokounmpo is willing to move from Milwaukee at the trade deadline, right? And then there were reports that he's really only looking at three teams that he'd be willing to go to, and that would be the Knicks, the Miami Heat, and the Toronto Raptors. Obviously, reports are reports. Nobody can believe everything that reports are said or what people say
What?
for the reports, but those three teams are the teams that he supposedly would be willing to go to. I don't know. I get your take on this whole Raptors season and what they could do going forward at the trade deadline.
Just going backwards for a second. If Miami is on any list, they're always going to be the top of the list because of the obvious reasons, and we're not going to mention the word TAX. Okay, but that being said, listen. I stand by what I said, and I will continue to do so. That the Raptors don't need to make a trade, and this has been a fun year watching these guys sort of come together. They sort of been the typical young-ish team that they look good when they really play well, and sometimes when they don't play well, like against the Knicks, things really come. It's hard to get going like that. And the great thing about the Raptors is we know what they do well, and we know what they don't do well. So the holes, the strengths and the weaknesses are very obvious. And again, if in the fall you were to tell me that in January 29th, almost at the All-Star break, halfway through the season already almost, that this team would be third in the Eastern Conference, sorry, third coming into the next game in the Eastern Conference, fourth after that, you would take it any day. So they've already exceeded expectations. It doesn't mean that now you can just sit back and watch them go on a losing streak and say, well, it was a great first 45 games or whatever it is. But I think tweaks is what you're looking at. And not to be repetitive, but you don't want to completely just do a trade just for the sake of saying that you did a trade, just to get headlines. If
Yeah,
Giannis is in play, I don't think he's in play now. I think he's in play in the summertime. If somebody wants to go completely nuclear like Miami or the Knicks and give up assets and picks and whatever, you're going to have to make it work because it's not going to be just a two-team trade. There's going to have to be different teams involved wherever he goes, then good luck. I also don't think Milwaukee has to make the deal at the trade deadline. And these trades are hard to gauge as well when you're this close to the trade deadline, right? So now teams, the price changes. As far as the Raptors are concerned, I mean, if again, go get a shooter and go get a big. They got completely annihilated today in points in the paint, almost like 3-1. Obvious weakness. Jakob has not showed up because his back sucks. Okay, so you gotta need a backup center, somebody of depth, of value that you can plug in there, and then work with the other guys because his barbecue lineup is never going to be a thing, anyways. NBI, of course, but
Yeah,
at the end of the day, Darko has done a great job of coaching this team up. The young guys in the bench have developed. Scotty is doing his thing. His numbers don't jump out at you because that's just not his thing.
that's
But
just Scotty. Yeah,
he brings the intangibles that he brings on the court, what the impact on winning. That's what matters to me. That's what I look at. Bi has had a great season. I think he's right exactly where he should be, and we don't know still what RJ Barrett could have been this year because he's been hurt so much this year, and there's a lot of season to be played yet. So again, this team is still sort of like a work in progress, but I think that they've really done well with what they've had, considering the injuries to two of their key rotation guys, or two of their starters, that have not been for most of the year, which again speaks more about Bi, speaks a lot more about Scotty. And I know that he has been sort of the punching bag at times in IQ, but you know what? He is who he is. This is what he is, right? Like he's going to go in runs where he gives you 20, 25, 30, and then he might go 3 games where he gives you 12, 10. That's just who he is, and you just live with it. But the character of this team, you talk about reverse Maple Leafs, they fight, and yes, sometimes they come up short because they lack certain areas of that team in shooting and inside. That's not a lack of effort. That's not lack of character. That's just a skill set that they don't have. So to me, if you're going to make deals, you make deals to improve your team now, for the future as well, without fucking up the chemistry, the balance of with the current roster that you have. So I mean, I'm okay if the Raptors do minor deals and they don't have to go completely nuclear to get Giannis or Ja or whoever the hell is available. So
yeah, and I mean, the way I look at it is too is at the end of the day, like who lines up if even if Giannis is a trade deadline guy or whatever the case is, who lines up with who lines up better to make a trade with Milwaukee than out of those three teams, right?
right,
If I'm looking at Miami, yeah, they're a good team, but I mean, if you're looking at their roster, it's like you're who are you really trading, right? You've got Bam Adebayo, you got Andrew Wiggins, you've got Norman Powell, Tyler Hero. Okay, Tyler Hero's a guy that would possibly be a guy. Pele Larson, Jamie Jaquez Jr., right? Nikola Jovic. There's talent there. The Knicks. Do the Knicks really need him? They're playing. They're a great team right now. Obviously, they do need him, but that means you have to move Cat. You have to move Cat out, right? You need to move Karl Anthony Towns out as well to bring in Giannis. And is
and why would
Milwaukee
Milwaukee want Cat?
exactly, and that's what I'm saying. Will Milwaukee want Cat? Probably not, right? So I'm thinking the way I look at it, I'm not just as a Homer fan or as a Raptor fan or whatever, just saying it. I think the Raptors line up very well with Giannis, and it obviously depends on what Milwaukee wants back. If Milwaukee's asking for Scotty Barnes, as great as Giannis is, I'm still saying no. At the end of the day, I'm still
No,
saying no because Scotty
absolutely not.
Barnes is a franchise cornerstone for this franchise right now. He's a young piece. He's growing. He's still playing great basketball, and he's growing into his body and into his role as the player he is and the defensive stalwart he is. Right. And if
Right.
I'm trading for Giannis, I want Scotty Barnes on my team still, right? I want Scotty and I
Be
want Brandon
honest.
Ingram and I want
Exactly.
Giannis, those three players. So, I mean, it all depends. Again, if you're willing to trade, as the reports have said, willing to trade Yak and IQ and RJ for Demontis Sabonis, those three names should be at the top of your list to be willing to move for Giannis Antetokounmpo. like 1,000%, those three names should be at the top of your list. Obviously, if you could somehow get Giannis by moving RJ and Yak and maybe some picks and maybe some other guys on the bench, younger guys like a Grady Dick or whatever the case is, moving some younger guys as well and keeping a IQ to run the point and stuff like that. But there's a lot of options there. So I think the Raptors do line up very well in the grand scheme of things in terms of making a trade for Giannis. Do I think they will make the trade for Giannis? No. I think
Right.
he's going to end up going to either New York or Miami, and they'll figure out a trade for that. But again, maybe Milwaukee doesn't make the trade at the deadline and they wait until the summer, like you said, and say, okay, now we've got more teams that are interested in him, more teams that want him. Now we can say, okay, this is what we want, and we can maybe get a king's ransom for him, right? But it also comes back to the fact that like he has a player option where he could opt out, and you don't want to give up the farm or give up a lot of players
Yeah.
for a guy that's not going to be here past
Yeah, he
a
might walk
year.
anyway.
He might
Yeah.
walk anyways, right? And so I mean, I think it would be a lot. Maybe this is just me thinking in the sense. I would think it would have been a lot easier to put the two and two together with the Raptors if Masai was still here. But I also think
Yes.
Bobby Webster being Masai's guy for so long has to play a role in that too. If Giannis is willing to come here and based off, like I said, based off the reports that those are the three teams that he's willing to go to, which means that he's still willing to come to Toronto even though Masai's not here.
So at the end of the day, I truly do believe the Raptors will make what's best for this franchise for the future and not necessarily just go high risk and deplete their depth to get something for now, which may or may not work out. And like you said earlier too, right? Like if Giannis is the guy, you got to make sure that if you're getting him and giving up all these assets, picks, etc., that he's going to
Yeah,
stay. You're going to have to
yeah,
extend them. So again, I don't think there's a sense of urgency. If there was a panic meter or an urgency meter for this, I would say it's very low. It's one. You don't have to do this. You can tweak your roster, make it better now, get this team experience, get into a playoff situation where maybe you could win around with the current roster without adding or subtracting that much and see where it goes. And then in the summer, you evaluate, you sort of assess where you were depending on what happens in the playoffs, and then you make your move, right? So
yeah. No,
that's
I
what.
agree with you. Yeah, it's obviously we'll see what comes of it of the NBA trade deadline, but um, there's a lot of ways that the Raptors could go. Right now, they're doing, they're doing well enough that they're sitting at 29-20 on the season, sitting in fourth in the Eastern Conference. They're one of the best defensive teams out there right now, so I think there's a lot of potential for this roster to get better as the season goes on, and as the deadline goes on, right?
And there's a lot of basketball left, so this team can go on another heater, and or maybe they're on a losing streak. I'm not too sure, but they seem to sustain those losing streaks to the minimum, right? And sort of be very consistent where play well where they need to be. Like, and tonight wasn't one of those nights against the Knicks. They don't clearly match up well against on the boards and whatnot. Like I said, size is a problem in the five spot, but they'll figure it out and they'll be fine.
Yeah, I agree. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens with the falling Leafs and the climbing Raptors, right? We'll see what happens, and
Sad times
yeah,
for
it's
the Leaf
it's it's
fans.
sad times for Leaf fans, that's for sure. But I mean, like I said, hopefully they tear it down a bit, start selling off some pieces. But
But
you
you don't
never
care,
know.
right? But you don't care.
But you never know with you never know with the Leafs. You never know where they're gonna go.
So don't cancel the parade.
No, exactly. Don't cancel the parade because they could go on a 5 game winning streak and everybody's down on Young Street partying, right? And
You know
saying
that's going to happen.
building Brad Treleving statues, right?
Greatest GM on the face of the planet.
Exactly.
He's done.
Exactly. But that's another episode of After the Horn. Thank you for listening. I'm Mark Shannon, and I'm here with my co-host, Marco Corona.
Let's go.
Peace.